Dissociation, moving in the world but not being a part of the world. Also a matter of not wanting the things of this world, desirous for something different and better. That's where I am right now. I mean, I recognize that I am here in it, but as I go out into the world and, I say hello people, I even talk to strangers or whatnot, it is the lack of desire to achieve anything in this world. Knowing that it will be a fruitless exercise. And yet I am saddened by that, because the alternative to which I would like to succeed in is not a manifest reality. And that is the new world, God's kingdom, or the new system of things, the way that things run, the different government that has not taken hold of the planet. The one that will be born in New Jerusalem, or has been born but will function, will come to its inauguration in New Jerusalem, where the life there that the Most High promised would not be a slaveocracy, nor a plutocracy, and definitely not a democracy or a demonocracy. So a sense of melancholy is on me this morning. This is the most separate from the world that I have been this past week. Not even really being able to move from out of my home. Usually I'm up very early in the morning, moving and grooving and vibing. And although I'm around people and I move in spaces where there's a lot of people, there's still this hedge that surrounds me. I don't have any close friends. I haven't had that for quite some time. And even my family, although I keep in contact with them and they keep in contact with me, there is still this like an invisible or a glass wall between us. I think that for some of us, maybe not all, but for some of us, and could be all of us, that have received this peculiar truth about the world we live in, and the one that is that has the millennial kingdom that is now operating actively, and it begins to pull you away from the world of Satan, which can create a sort of peculiar type of isolation. I mean, you could still be moving and grooving and working, but even in places where you are with other people, they notice and you notice that there's something about your spirit and about your continence that is different than theirs. And as I have been formed by one great woman, is that because of the Spirit of Christ, it oftentimes will condemn other people. You won't have to say anything, you won't have to do anything, and I believe that there is a biblical scripture that alludes to that spirit that condemns wickedness, or practicing wickedness, and it's down to the very thoughts of persons. And so it's not something that we necessarily have to even say or do. It could be just that invisible force that people bounce up against, that it causes stripes or causes friction for that person. But because they only see you, it becomes a point in where they become very uncomfortable. And you can sense that because you're almost like the Star Trek Betazoid or Betazen. I forget her name, where she can read your thoughts or read your emotional state. Um, I think that that's probably a real power. Uh, of course, we only use 1/4 of our brain now, but I think that when you start to come into the truth and the Most High Spirit starts to operate on you, other things about your brain and about your body come online. And that starts to resonate throughout the world. So I can kind of begin to see that and see how that is moving and grooving in my life. Um, yeah, and you know what? I'm going to say this too, and I don't know if any others have experienced this. Even now, even I feel kind of overwhelmed when I'm in a large setting where there's a lot of people. It's almost like there's a whole lot incoming, and I just feel like just overwhelmed. And so I don't mind being on the outer skirts of a group or walking through where there's other people that I'm still interacting with. Is trying to find that balance. But um, I will say, I guess the reason why I'm babbling about this is that these last few days that I've been just home with myself, I can feel the sense of care and comfort that comes with that, but I'm carrying it with other challenges that I am being sat in. I don't, for lack of a better term. And it's almost as if the Most High has decided to place me in a pause, just stop for a moment. Because I've been moving and grooving and I'm always out and about. And so, and I'm going to say that that kind of feels uncomfortable right now, today. Um, just to kind of sit and rest for a moment. I'd like to be up and moving about and being busy and being out there in the world. So, this is a nice little apartment that I live in, but it's not the opulence of a home and of a well-built home, of what they would call $1 million home. There are some homes that I've been looking at on the on the tube or on on the internet, and some of those homes are just spectacularly built. They're just not all, because there's some just like ugh, but there's some they carry such a beautiful spirit about them. And those are the ones that usually haven't been lived in. Like the architecture is open, the framing is just luxe. And there was one particular one where a personal walkway was attached to the home, and it literally overlooked the city, including the ocean. It was in some type of, of course, upper class, so to speak. I hate to use that phrase, but in the opulent part of Los Angeles, and it was in the hills, and it was high up. The elevation was like on this hill, or yeah, this hill, and at night you can just see all parts of the cities. As you know, Los Angeles is a huge, huge, huge city. There are different parts of it. I think it might have been Ventura, if I'm not mistaken. And so you could see the city, all the city lights from the perch of that walkway. And then beyond that, you can see the Pacific Ocean. You can see ships and whatnot just kind of sailing through the night. It was absolutely breathtaking. And just the views from the house, there was not one view that wasn't picturesque. It was just absolutely beautiful. Ample space, just opulence. And I juxtaposed the person or persons that can't afford a house like that have committed such horrific evil upon the nations or upon humanity. And, you know, I heard one time that when you get to a certain level of success, you have to do something strange. You have to do something unholy in order to maintain the level that you as a person has reached in order to afford that type of luxury. You know, there are other places too in the world. Homes are just sitting empty, what they call millions of dollars homes in some of the most beautiful places on the planet. In spite of all that has happened to it, there are still these just breathtaking areas. There's another in Big Sur that I was looking at. It was so beautiful, it calmed me. I mean, the just looking at it, it was like meditative. And it was so very well built. It was almost as if you can have a large family compound where all your family members are living in that area, and every single little cabana that they had, that the family member and their probably extended family would have, the view from that Big Sur of the ocean and just the scenery and the foliage was absolutely breathtaking. I could not, um, I could not, I could not have fathomed such a thing existed. And well made, very sturdy. Of course, the most priceless materials that these places were made with, and some of them had been there for half a century or more. So something like that had been in existence for a very, very long time, longer than I've been around. And I just thought, so the people who live there are not going to be descendants of American slaves. I mean, the percentile of that is going to be very low. In these places, you have where is majority of the folks who should not have benefited from the devilry of slavery, of Jim Crow, of segregation, and so on, of redlining and mass incarceration. Uh, they benefit from that because they were able to use us as descendants of American slaves as their footstool, and they were rewarded handsomely. So, I think I would like to end with, as Black folk, we are seeing these things, and these things, the internet has made known so many things that we had not seen prior to the internet's inception into this paradigm where all hidden things are being revealed. And so I think the reason why that we are acting the way we are, of course, the ultimate is that the Most High is moving our spirits, but I think collectively we have seen the way that many of you, whether you be an immigrant, legal or illegal, and or a Caucasian person, we have seen how you have waxed luxuriously, have your lives have been one of opulence, and the spaces that you have been able to live have been one of pleasure. And you have all done this at our expense. You have all let it out our blood. You have spilled our blood on every sort of surface that any man can imagine in the most deplorable ways. And you have been richly rewarded by Satan and the demons, richly rewarded for the devilish deeds that have been heaped upon us. And this is why we're not joining hands with you in anything at all. We are not joining hands with you or not reaching our hands to you because we know that you just want to maintain the status quo. You don't want to change as a people. You don't want to change. And that is something that is crystal clear. You just want things to stay the way they are. And it also explains why you haven't torn this country apart, and particularly over the Epstein files. You are willing to sacrifice whatever you need to sacrifice in order to maintain that. But here's the thing that maybe you haven't realized or you have realized, and it speaks of a very depraved soul, if you have, is that the Most High did not make this planet out of evilness. The Most High made the planet out of righteousness and out of good. And that the thing that is the under truth that will soon be manifest is that you would have had those things anyway by practicing good. And you would have had even more so by practicing good and producing justice. But the underlying thing is not so much as everybody having it. The underlying thing is that you have it and somebody else suffers. You get your kicks off of somebody else suffering while you have it. And that denotes a depraved soul. I don't know if it can be saved. Thank you for listening.